Choose a corner of your polytunnel to be your start point. From this point, measure the width and length of your tunnel, putting the foundations in loosely until happy that they are square.
Set it off on it.
To check for square, measure across the diagonal of the tunnel
14 foot 1.5.
on either side.
14 foot
These
1.5.
measurements should be the same. Once happy that the tunnel is square, measure and mark out the position for the remaining foundation tubes down the length.
Yeah.
When using anchor plates, dig a hole approximately 12 inches square and 14 inches deep at each point of a foundation tube. Once the holes are dug, insert the foundation tubes on the higher side, rechecking all measurements. Foundation tubes should be knocked into the ground so that only the swage is protruding. Measure across the width and using a string line, knock the second row of foundation tubes in, making sure that they are level across the width. Once all foundation tubes are in place, an anchor plate clamp should be placed around the tube at the bottom of the hole. The anchor plate then goes over this clamp and is trapped underneath another. Tighten these clamps as tight as you can by hand and backfill the holes, taking care as to not cover the swage.
fairly flat.
Assemble the hoops together on a flat base, securing the joints with a self-drill screw. Take care to make sure that screws aren't located on the outside of the hoops where they may come in contact with the cover.
So put this one up at this end. Rotate. I'll put yours on. Try.
Lift the hoops onto the foundation tubes, making sure again that the screws will not come in contact with the cover. For the centre ridge, a P-clip is placed around each hoop on the apex. A second P-clip is placed around the ridge and bolted together. Ridges are supplied in sections relevant to the spacings of your tunnel. Make sure that all P-clips are to the inside of the hoops. Measure and adjust the P-clip for the centre hoops so that the spacings are equal to the foundation tubes.
Right.
Adjust the ridge so that the end is located halfway through the end hoop. Make sure all clamps are tight and screwed. A plastic end cap is inserted in each end of the ridge. When using a triple ridge, the extra ridges should be placed around the hoop closer to where the outer leg meets the inner hoop. Measure all centre hoops so that the spacing matches the foundation tubes.
Right.
At each end of the ridge, the bar should sit in the middle of the end hoop. Plastic inserts should be placed in the end of every ridge.
Right.
Once all ridges are assembled, make sure that all joints and P-clips are screwed, with the screws located inside the polytunnel so as not to come in contact with the cover. The corner stabilisers are painted on one end, black or white. From the outside of the polytunnel looking at the end, the white should be on the right and the black on the left. A P-clip should be placed around the end hoop and another placed around the second hoop. These P-clips should face to each other, with the stabiliser bolted in between. On the second hoop, the P-clip should be located approximately 9 inch off the ground. This P-clip can be tightened and screwed in place. The P-clip on the end hoop can be adjusted up and down. Using a spirit level, adjust the P-clip up and down until the outer hoop sits vertical. Repeat this process on each corner of the polytunnel. Tighten all bolts and secure all P-clips with self-drill screws, making sure that the screw is on the inside of the polytunnel and not coming into contact with the cover. When using a storm strengthening kit, a P-clip is placed around the hoops where the outer leg meets the inner hoop. This P-clip is bolted tight and screwed in place, making sure that the leg of the P and the screw are located where they will not come in contact with the cover. These are placed on every hoop where the outer leg meets the inner hoop. Crop bars are horizontal bars located on every intermediate hoop. A P-clip should be placed around the hoop on either side of the centre ridge. The crop bar then bolts to these clips. Once in place, use a spirit level to check that the crop bar is level. Tighten the P-clips and fix in place with a self-drill screw, making sure the screw is located inside the tunnel away from the cover. Using a flat surface, assemble your staging legs. These consist of a 75mm long top that is flattened at each end and a 75mm long leg that is flattened at one end. Bolt one end of these bars together. A P-clip is placed around the leg and the top. With a 30cm long flattened bar in between them. Leave these bolts loose until you are happy that the leg is square. Once happy, tighten and fix the P-clips with a self-drill screw. A P-clip is located on the hoop and the opposite end of the top is bolted to here. Again, using a spirit level, check the leg runs out straight, tighten and fix in place with the self-drill screw. Making sure that the screw is on the inside of the polytunnel. Repeat this process for each leg, making sure that each leg runs out straight and is in line with each other. Each staging leg comes with an extra P-clip and bolt for fixing your own timber top. When hanging the dummy door, it can sometimes be useful to put a string line across the end hoop. Dig a trench approximately 13 inches deep, 38 inches long and 6 inches wide, central under the end hoop.
Place the end frame central in the trench and up to the hoop. Measure from the hoop to the outside of the end frame on either side to make sure it is central.
I need to go that way about a quarter of an inch. Oh, you're a bit lucky. But then you go that way about that far. To be honest, it'll probably...
Using a spirit level, check that the end frame is vertical and mark under the hoop where needed. Place a P-clip around the hoop on either side of the central ridge. Drill the posts through the P-clips and bolt in place.
I'll give you a washer and let you lift it up. And that is nut.
Place a washer and nut on the inside, but leave loose. Recheck the measurements at the base of the dummy door. And when satisfied, backfill the trench. Check the dummy door for vertical, tighten the bolts and secure the P-clips in place with a self-drill screw. Make sure the self-drill screw is located away from the polythene. Sliding door frames are supplied with a pre-cut lintel. Using the lintel, check your measurements from the outside of the polytunnel to the doorposts. At these points, dig a hole approximately 6 inches square and 12 inches deep. Choose a post to be your starting point, place it in the hole and using a spirit level, check for vertical. Mark the post under the hoop and cut in place. A P-clip should be placed around the polytunnel hoop with the leg of the P on the outside of the doorpost. Drill and bolt the doorpost to the P-clip. Check your measurement from the outside of the hoop to the doorpost at the base. Once happy, backfill the hole. Using a spirit level, check the post for vertical, tighten the bolt and secure the P-clip with a self-drill screw. Using the pre-cut lintel, place a second post in its hole and check for vertical. Mark the post under the hoop and cut in place. Using a P-clip, drill the post and bolt in place. Backfill the hole, keeping the post in line with the first post. Using the fixed post, measure from the ground up 73 inches and mark the post. Drill a 5mm hole through the side of the post 1.5 inches above this mark. Holding the lintel so the bottom face is in line with the mark, fix in place using a 6-inch nail. Making sure the lintel is horizontal, drill the second post and fix in place with a 6-inch nail. Tighten and secure the loose post using a self-drill screw. Nail a nail plate across each joint on the inside of the polytunnel. Aluminium base rails run around the outside of the polytunnel framework at ground level, leaving only the door openings. On the corners of the polytunnel, corner brackets are used to fix the aluminium to the polytunnel hoops. On any sides where a vent screen is used, the aluminium will be spaced from the hoops using the brackets shown later in this video. Intermediate hoops are fixed to the aluminium rails using P-clips. Where two aluminium rails join end to end, an aluminium joiner is placed in the groove and tightened using the grub screws and Allen keys given. Once the sides of the aluminium base rail are complete, tighten the bolts. Measure a piece of aluminium to go from the corner across the doorpost. Cut this piece using either an angle grinder or a hacksaw. Smooth off any sharp edges. Drill a 9mm hole through the doorpost and bolt the aluminium rail in place using a nut and washer on the inside. Bolt the opposite end of this aluminium to the corner bracket. Repeat this process in all corners. At the corners, cut the aluminium off at an angle and smooth off any sharp edges. On any sides where an aluminium base rail is using a ventilation screen, the rail must be spaced from the hoops. Longer bolts are used along with plastic spacers and flat plates. At the corners, a flat plate is placed on first, followed by a plastic spacer. On any intermediate hoops, a washer is placed either side of the plastic spacer. These flat plates will be used later to install your verticals. On sides where a ventilation screen is being used, the ends of the aluminium rail do not need spacing. Aluminium side rails are fit in the same way as base rails, using corner brackets at each corner and P-clips for every intermediate hoop. On side rails where a ventilation screen is being used, the side rail should be spaced out from the hoop using the flat plate and spacers as before. When placing side rails onto a polytunnel without side vents, the side rail should be placed 1 metre above ground level. On any sides where a side vent will be used, the space between the base rail and the side rail should be 80 centimetres. Wherever two aluminium rails attach end to end, a joiner should be used. When side rails are being used with side vents, the distance between the base rail and the side rail should be 80 centimetres. It is also advised that the side rail run as straight as possible. If a side rail is intended to have gutters installed, where possible have a slight fall from one end of the tunnel to the other. When installing a side rail onto an end frame, take care in cutting the batten on the end frame without damaging the polythene or netting. When fixing the side rail to the door frames, bolt in place using a washer and nut on the inside. At the corners, cut off the aluminium rails at an angle, smoothing off any sharp edges. On the door frames, it is necessary to perform a rebate. Using the pattern provided, cut a piece to go from the outside of one doorpost across the lintel to the outside of the other. Run batten up the side of the doorpost from either ground level to the top or from the side rail to the top. These battens should run around the outside edge of the door frame, leaving space for a secondary batten to be fit at a later stage. Anti-hotspot tape is placed over every hoop of a polytunnel. This protects the cover from friction and heat buildup. On the two end hoops, the tape should be placed approximately 45 degrees around the corner, and on every intermediate hoop, this tape should be placed centrally over the hoop. On any sides where a rail is being used to fit the cover, mark approximately 2 inches higher than the clips, loosen the clips and raise the rail to this height. This will allow the rails to be dropped once the cover is fit to allow extra tension. The same should be done on any base rails. Marking 2 inch higher than the clamps, lifting and fitting in place. Unfold the polythene out down one side of the polytunnel. At metre intervals down the polythene, there is an elephant logo with the word inside. Once the cover is over the tunnel, the word inside should be able to be read from inside the polytunnel. Carefully unfold the polythene and taking one side, walk it over the hoops down to the ground on the other side. Take care to make sure the polythene does not catch on any bolts, screws or corners. Having a calm day is best for covering. However, if the wind is slightly higher, having more people there to hold onto the cover will help. Centralise the cover on the frame on the width and length. The cover may not reach the ground on each end, but be advised this is okay. Once happy that the cover is centralised, fix the cover to the lintel in the centre at one end of the tunnel, using a batten pushed up tight to the rebate batten. At the opposite end, pull the cover as tight as possible down the length, and again fix in the centre using a cover batten, pushed up tight to the rebate. Do not worry about damaging the cover in this area, as it will be cut off later. With aluminium on the sides of the tunnel, start in the centre, smoothing the cover out and inserting one of the grey plastic U-profiles into the top slot of any side rails and the only slot on the base rails. Pull the cover along to one end of the tunnel, trying to keep as smooth as possible and inserting the U-profile. Once the U-profiles are inserted, a T-profile is then placed in to secure and spread. Be careful not to over-tension at this stage, as the cover can split. Repeat this process to the other end of the tunnel. Cut the cover below the side rail in line with the end hoop. On the opposite side of the polytunnel, repeat this process either onto a base rail or side rail, starting in the centre and working out towards the ends. Try to keep the cover as smooth as possible while also providing tension. Cut the polythene below the base rails in line with the end hoop. Cut a piece of batten to go up each doorpost on each end of the tunnel. Starting from the centre of the lintel, work out towards the end, pulling the polythene with a slight twist of the wrist to form the pleats. Keep the cover batten tight up to the rebate, spacing the nails at approximately 4 inches. Using the same method of twisting your wrist, work down the doorpost on either side. Keeping the battens tight to avoid the cover slipping back out. Using this method, all the pleats should be used up by the time you reach the straight side. Repeat this process on each doorpost at each end of the tunnel. Make sure to keep the pleats as evenly spaced as possible. From the top of the straight side of the outer hoop to the ground, you should hopefully be left with a flat panel. Again, at the opposite end of the tunnel, work from the centre of the lintel out to the ends, twisting to create the pleats. Between the door frame and the corners, tension the polythene down to either the side rail or the base rail, securing in place using the grey plastic U-profiles. Once again inserting the T's to spread and secure. Tension the cover down to the base rails, using the grey plastic U-profile to fit in place. Once the cover is fit all around the tunnel, loosen off the clamps on any side rails and base rails. Push these rails back down to either ground level or their starting position on the side rails. Again, the gap between the side rails and the base rail on any sides with ventilation screens should be 80 centimeters. Tighten all the clamps in place and secure any P-clips with self-drill screws. Take care to make sure that all hoops are secured onto the foundation tubes with self-drill screws. Trim off any excess cover below the side rails or base rails, taking care not to damage the main cover. Trim off the excess around any door frames or end frames, taking care not to damage the main cover. A small skirt can be left around the outside of the polytunnel. This can be used to deflect water away from the polytunnel. Where a ventilation screen is being used, uprights are provided for the corners. One aluminium upright will have an aluminium track attached. This should be placed at the end of the tunnel where you would like your gearbox and winding handle to be positioned. The aluminium verticals should be bolted to the flat plates positioned between your side rail and base rail. Slide your pre-built gearbox into your aluminium track. If the gear handle is positioned in the wrong way, the flat plate can be unbolted and screwed to the opposite face of the gearbox. Insert a self-drill screw into either end of the aluminium track. The side vent bar is provided in sections. A 6-inch adapter is placed into the gearbox with the steel winding tube attached down the length. At the far end, trim off the steel winding bar just short of the opposite upright. Insert a plastic end cap into the end. Screw the steel winding bar together using the self-drill screws provided. On aluminium side vents, the side vent screen and netting are placed into the bottom groove of the side rail. The black U profile is provided for this. The polythene should be placed on the inside with the net on the out. Take care to have the polythene and the netting run in as straight a line as possible. The black U profiles are only used to fix the polythene and the netting in between the aluminium verticals. Insert a grey T-piece into the black U profile to spread and secure. Wrap the excess polythene at ground level around the winding bar. While trying to keep the side vent polythene as smooth as possible, attach the excess polythene to the winding bar using the black C-clips. A C-clip should be placed at every hoop and every halfway point. The C-clips can be adjusted where necessary. Trim the side vent polythene in line with the ends of the side vent bar. Using the handle provided, wind the gearbox to check that the vent rolls up and down smoothly. Where needed, adjust the verticals and the C-clips to allow the vent to run smoothly. Attach the netting to the base rail using the grey U-profiles, adding tension to the net as much as possible. Insert a grey plastic T-profile into the U-profiles to spread and secure. Tension the net out to the verticals and fix in place using the grey plastic U-profiles. Inserting a T-profile to spread and secure. Trim off the net from the verticals and the base rail, being careful not to cut the main cover. Separate polythene panels are provided for the ends of the aluminium vent screen. It can be helpful to pre-cut the plastic U profiles before fitting. Attach this panel to the side rail in the bottom groove from the corner to the doorpost, making sure to leave enough overhang to get to the vertical. Spread and secure with a plastic T-profile. Tension the panel down to the base rail and fix in place using one of the grey plastic U profiles. Using a T-profile to spread and secure. Insert a U-profile from the corner to the vertical on the side rail and the base rail. Keeping as much tension in the panel as possible, secure it to the vertical. Cut a piece of batten to fit between the side rail and the base rail on the door frame and tension the panel out, securing in place with the batten and nails. Trim off any excess, taking care not to damage the main panel. Repeat this process at the opposite end of the tunnel. When fitting a sliding door lintel, measure 4 inches in from each doorpost and 1 inch up. Drill a 9mm hole through these points. On any tunnels with double sliding doors, an extra 2 holes should be drilled to the centre of the lintel. Slide the hexagon bolts into the track on the back of the sliding door lintel and insert through the holes drilled. Choosing which way you want your door to slide, Adjust the lintel so the end is in line with the outside of the doorpost. A washer and nut are placed on the bolts on the inside and tightened. In the DRK kit, build the wheels as shown. A bolt and nut are attached to the flat plate, with the wheels then screwed onto the bolt. The first runner should be set 5 inches to the centre from the closed side. With the second runner being set 17 inches from centre to centre. Slide the door into the sliding door lintel, checking that the door is square with the frame. Adjust the wheels on the bolts where needed. The sliding door stops are assembled as shown, with the flat plate being screwed onto the black stopper and the circular ring being placed on top. Slide this stopper into the track and using the door, adjust until in position. Tighten this stopper into the track using the black bolt provided. When setting the stops, make sure the door does not over open or over close. Once you are happy with the positioning, place the plastic end caps in the ends of the lintel. Drop tubes are used to prevent the door from swinging in or out. On the closed side of the door, a tube should be knocked into the ground in line with the batten on the door. This tube should overlap the door approximately 2.5 inches. The same should be done on the opening side of the door when the door is fully back. Two screw knives should be placed into the batten on the door. The first one 4 inches from the base and the second one 11. The drop bolt should slide through these screwing eyes and into each tube, depending on the closed and open position. Timber infills are placed on the inside edge of the door frame. Cut the infill to go from the ground level to the underside of the lintel. Adjust these infills so they come close to the door without touching. This is to seal the gap. Polytunnel gutters are supplied in 3 foot and 6 foot lengths. Insert the gutters into the top slot of the side rail. Cut the gutters where needed. Make sure to overhang the gutter from the polytunnel on one or both ends depending on where you wish to collect your water. A bead of silicone must be placed around either end of the gutter joiners. The gutter joiner is then placed inside the gutters across any joins, pushing in firmly to secure. A bead of silicone should be placed around the stop end. With the stop end then fitted accordingly as to the water collection. Our overhead irrigation comes in either a single, twin or triple line, depending on the width of tunnel. Cut a length of irrigation pipe the length of the tunnel, stopping 4 foot from the opposite end. Cut a length to go from the ridge to the outside doorpost. Is using hot water, insert an elbow into one end of the leftover piece. And the click fittings into the opposite. The short piece from the doorpost to the lintel should then be attached to the other end of the elbow. With a second elbow placed in the opposite end of that. The long length of tube should then be attached to the opposite end of the elbow, with the stop inserted into the far end. Pipe clips should then be used to attach the relevant length to the inside of the doorpost. Using cable ties, secure the pipe to the ridge. Using either the nail or hole punch provided, puncture the tube at the intermediate hoop, pushing in the 30cm dropper. On Premier kits, a pressure regulator should be fit between the female barb connector and the male click fitting. The ground cover kit should be rolled out on the inside of the polytunnel. Be advised the ground cover kit is wider and longer than required. Lay the ground cover loosely over the entire area of the polytunnel. Where possible, feed the ground cover underneath the base rails, or simply fold over, covering as much of the ground as possible. Where needed, trim the ground cover around any hoops. Using the pegs provided, pin the ground cover down to the floor at each hoop and half hoop. Peg the ground cover down around the door frame and dummy door. Trim off any excess ground cover where needed.
Premier Polytunnels supply a detailed construction guide with every polytunnel. We also provide a construction advice helpline 7 days a week, along with a comprehensive collection of online construction videos. If you have any queries or questions, give the team a call or visit our website for more details.